Disney Plus Day was today. And while there are many different angles we can approach Disney Plus Day as far as new Disney animated projects that'll be coming to Disney Plus, or even some of the Star Wars things that dropped, certainly Boba Fett is a very exciting piece of content that's going to be coming to Disney Plus at the end of this year. And I think it's great that Boba Fett is finally getting really the live action touch that many have wished for him after so long, especially after originally coming out with a movie before they nixed all of the spin-off stuff after the small dumpster fire that Solo Star Wars story was for some, and I don't blame them for that. It's cool that we're getting Boba Fett stuff. I'm really excited for Obi-Wan in particular. A little disappointed we didn't get a trailer today, but we got some behind-the-scenes stuff to see kind of what we're going to expect. That's the one Star Wars project that I'm most excited about. I love my Jedi stories a lot more. But I want to tackle Disney Plus Day from the Marvel angle. And Barney, correct me if I'm wrong, you haven't heard everything that's dropped from the Marvel stuff, right?
I've only heard what you told me earlier.
Excellent. So let's get into the stuff that you
purposefully kept from me.
Great.
I haven't heard it.
So let's get into some of the stuff that you don't know about, and then we'll talk about the main stuff that we're getting into. So one of the biggest things that I didn't realize how big this was until I looked into it, Disney Plus is actually doing a Spider-Man series. Spider-Man Freshman Year, which will give us the MCU origin of Peter Parker, which we have not gotten up to this point. Homecoming rightfully cut out the Uncle Ben stuff, which was the appropriate move after having 2 movies with that.
Now we get to see it again.
Now we get to see it. I think it'll be animated. I don't know if Tom Holland will necessarily be involved. Admittedly, you don't quite need him to be if it's animated. If you can even get the same voice actor from Marvel's What If, I think that would work.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little surprised based on the kind of Sony stuff. I guess maybe there must have been some kind of deal worked out. That's maybe a shot in the dark, yes. But I think it's really exciting that we're going to actually get Spider-Man's MCU origin in this universe now to kind of see how that plays out and maybe see what changes they're making to the original canon to fit this Spider-Man. So that's super exciting.
Uncle Ben didn't die.
Imagine. Imagine. Also imagine, too, what if Uncle Ben was played by Robert De Niro? As just a totally different celebrity casting.
So random.
Hey, with great power comes great gabagool. I don't know, something. If James Gandolfini were Uncle
James
Ben,
Gandolfini,
sorry.
Or Christopher Walken, or somewhere in between.
We now need Wayne. We need Christopher Walken to come in and be Uncle Ben for a day. That'll be the next children's book that we read. Noted. Also, too, for those that didn't know, we got the announcement of an Agatha Harkness series from WandaVision. What is it? House of Harkness? Yes, Agatha House of Harkness, a new series that will star Catherine Hahn as her character from WandaVision. The same showrunner and head writer for WandaVision will come back and write this series. So you wanted it, you got it.
Oh, that's so
It'll be Agatha all the time. Great. Another interesting project that was a bit of a surprise was Marvel Zombies, an animated series that reimagines the Marvel Universe as a new generation of heroes battle against an ever-spreading zombie scourge. I am curious if this is the same universe that we saw in Marvel's What If, or if it's just a totally separate idea altogether. Very curious. I believe the director of this show, Brian Andrews, was also one of the people in charge of What If. So I have to think there's some correlation to that.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of what they teased at the end of that specific episode of What If, that whole zombies concept, I wonder if that's what's carrying over into this. So that's pretty exciting. We got a couple of images for Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac, which, yes, he's been confirmed, but it was always kind of up in the air, like, is he really a part of Moon Knight or whatever? But now we have official images that exist of Oscar Isaac getting ready to suit up as Moon Knight. So that's pretty cool that he's joining the MCU.
He's going to the moon.
Better than the Star Wars. Got some images for Ms. Marvel and a new like icon look for She-Hulk. Super excited for these series to be coming out. We get a glimpse at Secret Invasion, the upcoming Nick Fury series, and apparently we're going to see The Man Without an eye patch for the first time in a long time, so that's pretty cool.
I wonder what's under there.
Another eye.
No way.
Spoiler.
You're crazy.
I can
You're
pull
crazy
up the
for
image.
that one. That's just a fan theory.
Also, too, Ironheart, the upcoming series. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. I'm blind. Ironheart series. I just can't remember the main character's name. Dominique. That's it. I needed a sec. Sorry. It's been a minute. I've been sorting through things for the last 20 minutes.
It's all good.
Dominique Thorne. That's it. Sorry, losing my mind. So that got a new logo today. That should be a very exciting series, especially with that character being introduced in the upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever film, which unfortunately did get pushed, not necessarily pushed back, but they had to shut down production for a bit because Letitia Wright's injury on the set of Black Panther Wakanda Forever was a bit more serious than they thought, so they had to shut that down for a bit. So we may have to push out the Ironheart series a bit longer, but that is okay as long as it's right. The animated series I Am Groot is still happening, featuring everyone's favorite walking, talking tree. We also got an official announcement today on a new Marvel Studios project, Echo, which is, let me pull this up because I want to be as accurate as I can with this project. So the character of Echo, she's getting her own series. She will first appear in Hawkeye, which comes out at the end of this month with the two-parter, which I'm super stoked for. Happy Thanksgiving. And for those that don't know, she is the adoptive daughter of the Kingpin in the comics. And she is a Native American and one of the very few deaf comic book characters. And she's also, her Echo look includes like a white handprint on her face. That's part of her character. I know almost nothing about the character, but I'm very excited to learn and see what the character is going to bring to the MCU. But also, I kind of want to look into more about what she's about from the comic book line, because she looks like a very interesting character, especially if we start to bring in that Daredevil angle to things with Kingpin officially in, yes, officially in the MCU, but also like to really make him part of the MCU. So that's exciting, and you're going to see Echo first in the Hawkeye series at the end of the month. But the biggest piece of news to come out of Marvel's Disney Plus Day is the fact that the X-Men series, the animated series that we all loved watching on Fox every Saturday morning, is getting a sequel series, X-Men 97, which picks up right where the original series left off, not just for the fact that this is Marvel Studios' first official stamp on anything X-Men related. It's honestly really cool to see Marvel Studios logo on top of an X-Men property for the first time. Not just that is exciting, but also too the fact that that Marvel Studios is aware of how influential this series is. Not that they have any reason not to be aware, but this is a specific series that influenced so much of really superhero-dom in general. There's no X-Men movie franchise without the X-Men animated series. Arguably, there's no Marvel as we look at it today, if not for the adult storytelling that the X-Men series did. More so than what Spider-Man was doing. Spider-Man was really meant to be kind of targeted, not so much to like kids, but they cut corners on the Spider-Man show a lot. That was the production that they were given. X-Men, not so much. Much more higher quality animation, I think, at least. And the fact that we're now getting a continuation of this series, which, of course, you can watch the full series on Disney Plus now. You have been able to since day one. But now we're getting a sequel series to one of the greatest Saturday morning cartoons of all time. It's a very big deal. And also, too, just thinking about it, even though everything is canon to the multiverse, some news articles are really dumb when they write things like when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened and they were saying, hey, the Batman 1966 series is now canon to the Arrowverse. Like, no, everything is canon in the multiverse, you dip turds. Like, it all counts separately.
Dip turds.
I was being polite. Just know what you're talking about when you're writing these articles. And not again, X-Men counts as part of the Marvel multiverse. I totally understand it, but it's really cool to think that X-Men is like closely adjacent to the MCU now because Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige and all of them are handling the X-Men stuff. So that's what kind of makes it cool. Like it's not that far separated in the tree. It's close. Same with the Spider-Man franchises that came before this one, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's one. Like they're pretty close on the pool of Earths, and it's really just cool to see on screen now not just different versions of MCU characters with Marvel's What If, but now we're starting to see that it's an even bigger overall picture with all of Marvel media. And that also, too, audiences are embracing the idea of a multiverse and having separate stories. And, oh, you can have two separate versions of Wolverine at the same time. You can have 7 different versions of Tony Stark dying, and it's okay. Sorry to all my What If friends out there who were sad to see him die in every single episode. It's fun. It's fun and it's exciting, and I have to think that Marvel Studios is aware of how important this series is for a lot of people. So maybe if they felt like they could like experiment with Marvel's What If, they know that they have to really bring it for this series. Anything subpar will not be accepted by the fan base. This is not something that you want to like get a 6 out of 10 on with IGN. You want to go for a 9. And I think they're aware of that. And that's coming out in 2023. Everything else, they all said, it's coming at some point. Who knows? Who cares? You'll watch it either way. So what? But X-Men's coming out in 2023, and that's super exciting. Barney, do you have any thoughts on anything that I've talked about, or specifically the X-Men series?
I mean, I'm just so pumped. What a great. I was gonna say, like, you hit the nail on the head in as far as like the MCU certainly not necessarily being the way it is without that, because I feel like it was such an important show in our formative years. You know what I mean? So
and that show was a gamble when it came on, because there was nothing really like it before, and
it was just so well done. And I think the way they handled it as more of an adult, like you said, they had some more adult themes, and it was kind of a bit more serious and serialized, and I think it's awesome that they're bringing it back.
Yeah, like that, and the complement of Batman the Animated Series also being on the same network at that time, and that was also a gamble too in its own right, and obviously probably the most influential DC thing ever. You know,
Crossover mentioned that the '80s X-Men is basically Marvel's answer to Batman. I presume you meant '90s. Is basically Marvel's answer to Batman, the animated series. They're both just as important.
Both just as important, and they kind of were in production at the same time, too. In a way, like they both kind of like dropped within the same window. Like someone would have had to start at some point, and they would have been working at the same time. So it's just funny that both of those came out around the same time to then influence almost all of the comic book structure that we know from the two biggest companies today, those two series alone. And now Disney is including X-Men into that fold even more by continuing those stories and letting the people who understand the property best, like Kevin Feige and Victoria Alonso and Louis D'Esposito and the rest of that company, lead Marvel once again into the future with a atomic bomb of news just all across the board.
Always from strength to strength at the moment.
Yeah,
it's really exciting too. Like you said, for just to have the Marvel Studios stamp on the X-Men.
It really makes it official, and I'm okay that and I'm especially okay with us not tackling an X-Men film yet. And this is also their way to really figure out what they want to do with the characters in their own right. They might not have a clear idea totally yet of like, how do we separate the previous X-Men years, a 20-year franchise, more or less, how do we separate us from that? And this is such a great strategic way to separate that gap by giving us a little something new from X-Men, really for the first time in forever.
Sammy just popped up in the chat. Nerds. We are.
Thanks, Sam.
We are nerds and proud.
Whoa. Welcome to the end of the Knights of the Dirty Table video that you just watched. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our video, share with all your friends, and catch our live stream every Friday live at 5, only on the Zenden Studios Twitch channel. I gotta go wander off into space. See ya! Whoa! Whoa!